you, Madam Toastmaster. We had quite a science project here getting this system to work. I want to thank Damon and Randy and Mary and anyone else who helped with it. Well, the first science project that I was familiar with was the U.S. announced their plan to launch a satellite. This happened on July 29, 1955. And they were going to launch the satellite during the International Geophysical Year, which was to start on July 1st, 1957 and end on December 31st, 1958. So that was like a more than a 2.5 year time frame. So that was a goal. But, oops, what happened? On October 4th, just at the start of the geophysical year, the USSR launched Sputnik 1 without any fanfare. And then a month later, they launched Sputnik 2. Things were about to get worse. On December 6th, 57, the U.S. failed to launch the Vanguard TV3. Not only did they fail to launch it, but the failure was very spectacular. The rocket got about 4 feet off the ground, fell back down to the ground, and there was a spectacular explosion. To make things worse, this was all televised live. So at that point, I would say the U.S. scientific prestige was probably at its lowest point since the 1925 Scopes trial. Things got a little better very quickly, actually. Within a month, the U.S. had launched Explorer 1, and within 2 more months, they had launched Vanguard 1. So actually, the U.S. met its goal, its announced goal, of launching a satellite, not 1, but 2 satellites during the geophysical year. They had met their goal, but they had come in second place. And when you come in second place in a 2-man race, there's usually no consolation prize. Well, I was in the 10th grade when Sputnik 1 and Sputnik 2 were launched, and I remember our history professor gave us some reading which was about the importance of scientists or whatever. And later he asked 2 questions. One question was, are there any boys out there who think they might like to become scientists one day? Raise your hand. And the second question was, are there any girls out there who think they might like to marry a scientist someday? Please raise your hand. Now, today things are quite different. At MIT, they now admit half men and half women to their freshman class. Now, when asked why, President and Professor of Neuroscience Susan Hockfield announced, it's just a matter of fairness, really. We think that men should have an equal chance to have an elite education. Well, at my high school, we responded to Sputnik 1 by forming a science club. Every person taking a science class had to have a science project. The science projects were reviewed by a panel of outside experts. And they were also graded by the science teacher. The best science project got a blue ribbon. As far as I know, there was no prize for second place. Well, I was secretary, vice president, and finally president of the science club during my sophomore, junior, and senior years. My senior year, I stole an idea from the homecoming committee. So I had the campus plastered with signs warning everybody that the science project, the science fair is coming. Start working on your science projects now. Otherwise, you're not going to have enough time to produce a good one. So, now forward to 1993. My son Jim is 12 years old. He needs a science project. Does he go to his dad, who's an engineer? No. He gets an idea from a friend of his. He gets 2 identical pans, He fills them with identical dirt. He puts in identical seeds, and he waters them with identical water. He puts fertilizer in one pan, leaves the other pan untreated. What could go wrong? Well, the day before his science project is due, his pans are both bare. So he's a little bit worried, but Dad steps into the rescue. I tell him that the value of studying science is that we learn that the honest and competent application of the scientific method is the best way to learn about the natural world. And that what he needs to do is just write his project up exactly the way it happened. Explain that he didn't get the results he expected, and speculate as to the reason. Maybe he started too late, do you think? Maybe he didn't put in enough water. Maybe he put in too much water. Maybe he put in bad seeds. Maybe he put it in bad dirt. Just speculate to the reasons and suggest that we need to do more research on this, which is the way every scientific paper ends anyway. So I get home from work the next day, and I ask my wife, how did Jim's science project go? And she says, well, I'm supposed to do vocal variety. I said, how did Jim's science project go? She says, well, when he woke up this morning, there were little bitty plants in the fertilized tray. Oh, that's too bad. He had to rewrite his report, huh? But that's not what Jim did. Well, what did Jim do then? He pulled out the little plants. So much for my lecture on the honest and competent application of the scientific method. I was devastated. But later I took some solace in the fact that he had shown enough initiative to come up with his own solution. After all, without initiative, even the scientific method is useless. Thank you.